Guys, welcome back to RBR. I'm Raz, your host, sometimes known as Mr. AMG. Why? Because I get overly excited every time AMG come out with an exciting car like this. And this is the brand new E53, up to 612 brake horsepower from a 6-cylinder hybrid. I've been waiting to drive this for months, ever since we did the first look, and today is finally that day. So let's drive off straight away, get some first impressions. The car would normally start in EV. We are going to put it straight into Sport Plus. Let's get going. Alright guys, here we go. In Sport Plus mode to begin with, because my first 100 yards, I love sharing these first 100 yards impressions with you guys because it's kind of like unfiltered, okay, this is what this car is like. And it feels so familiar. Not long ago I owned the E53 estate, and like the way that this car sits on its wheels, the throttle response, even a bit of the sound, very similar to that car. This is quite exciting. And loads of speed. Not bad. Alright, we've got some nice sound. I like the steering feel. The power is definitely there. Following GT, which was so good, and then the CLE 53, I thought we might have another AMG banger on our hands, certainly for daily duties. Now, let's stop the car, let's remind ourselves what powers this thing, what the E53 is all about, then we'll head back on the road and drive this new beast from AMG in anger. So guys, before we head out, let's go over exactly what AMG have changed in this car versus a standard E-Class, because a lot has changed even compared to what they used to do on the 53s. This is more like a 63 than it ever has been before. I also want to show you the different spec options you get. I want to show you the Wagon, which is absolutely beautiful. So a lot to cover today. It's going to be an exciting one. So let's dive in and check out the brand new E53 Hybrid. So guys, today's episode of RBR is once again sponsored by NordVPN. We've spoken about Nord many times in the past. They're a long-term channel sponsor about how you can gain more content from across the world on streaming services, protect yourself from your data being stolen when you're out and about. But one thing I want to talk about today is different. It's using the internet safely without even having the VPN turned on. Because don't you hate how using the internet has just become a worse experience over the years? You get these stupid ads and video ads that just play as soon as you get on a website. You've got malicious sites, you can't shop for something without the website tracking your habits and the things you're shopping and then throwing more stuff at you later. It's really frustrating. Nord want the internet to be the way it used to be, or at least allow us to use it the way we used to use it. And to help us do that, they've got this thing now called threat protection. It's within the NordVPN app itself. All you do, you go into the app, you don't need to turn on the VPN if you don't want to. You hit this shield button here, and then you've got threat protection, knock it on, and that is it. It can be turned on independently of your VPN. So this will then stop those annoying ads from playing. It'll stop the websites from tracking you and making a profile about you so they've got your data. It will even scan downloaded files like an antivirus and make sure that they're safe before you open them. And of course the basics, it'll protect you from malicious URLs and websites. And not all of us use VPNs all the time. We don't keep them on all the time. So it's great that you can have that as a separate feature and let your internet browsing be just a better, more peaceful experience. And of course, then when you pair it with the VPN, you've got the ultimate protection against anyone trying to get your data and staying safe online. And of course, as an RBR viewer, you get a great deal as well. Use my link, nordvpn.com/RBR. You'll get a 2-year plan with an extra 4 months free. That's nordvpn.com/RBR. And remember, 30-day Nord money-back guarantee if you change your mind. It's completely risk-free. So huge thanks to Nord for supporting the channel and to you guys for supporting our sponsors. Let's get back to the car. So guys, the new E53 is powered by that very predictable new format of large combustion engine, large e-motor and large battery. And in this car, it gives 612 brake horsepower. If that sounds familiar, that's what we had in our previous E53S. So it's damn impressive, but this is not a V8. In here, we've got an updated M256M 6-cylinder inline 6 engine, which produces 450 brake horsepower. It's got a new electrical compressor that gives it more boost, a bunch of other changes to make it a more powerful engine than it used to be in the past. So that electric compressor gives us more torque more of the time, 600 Newton meters on overboost. So that's just your combustion engine, powerful. Then we have the e-motor, which sits within our gearbox. And this is a more relaxed 9-speed torque converter versus our multi-clutch that you normally have. And this e-motor is a permanently synchronous one, and it gives us 135 horsepower, 480 Newton meters, and that is on top of our combustion engine. And finally, large performance battery on the rear of 28 kilowatts, but usable as 21. Altogether, system output, 585 brake horsepower. AMG Dynamic Plus package gives you 612 horsepower, 750 Newton meters, and a launch control figure of 3.8 seconds that we will test shortly in this video. But what about the weight? Let's talk about some nerdy bits. The car weighs 2.4 tons. And even though it has the same power as the E53, the E63S only weighed 1990. So let's look at the power to weight ratio here. Power to weight ratio of the E-Class was 0.3, of this car's 0.25. So even though the horsepower figure is the same, let's bear in mind that this is not as powerful on the road, okay? One benefit that it does have though, because the battery is on the back, is that our balance of our weight is exactly the same as it was, so 47.53. One thing that's undeniable is how much more powerful it is versus the previous E53, okay? This is on another level. And let's look at the benefit of this system, and that is the electric miles that you get from the battery. We're talking 100 kms or, around about 60 miles of electric range. And again, that's something that we're going to check in this video. Then it's got 4MATIC Plus, which is the fully variable all-wheel drive system like we had in the E63. However, no drift mode because this is not a 63 car, nor is there race mode in this. Then the other big player, the suspension. We've got a wide track, so we'll get onto the wide front end in a minute. AMG's ride control suspension is here with 2 valve dampers per wheel. You'll see a lot of other big manufacturers hype this thing up in their cars, and it's very similar here, just in a 53, okay? What it basically does is make the car better for comfort, make the car better for sportiness. You've heard this all before. And they've also done a ton for stiffening, shear panels, cross braces, anti-roll bars, etc. All of that, making this car more rigid and helping the suspension do its job properly. Then the brakes, a lot of development done here, 370 on the front, 360 on the rear, and they have the ability to combine hydraulic braking with recuperation up to 120 kilowatts to charge up that battery, which is damn good. And then finally, you've got AMG speed sensitive steering with 2.5 degree rear wheel steer. And that basically covers everything, unless you get the AMG Dynamic Plus package. You get the microfiber steering wheel on the inside. You end up with that faster launch control figure, the higher horsepower of 612, dynamic engine mounts, which are so important in controlling the heaviest part of the car. You get the larger 390 brakes on the front, and the diff even has a sportier setup in this, which of course helps with that launch as well. So a really important option. Now, let's talk about options. Let's talk about prices, which we finally have some info on. First of all, options. There's a number of different wheel choices you can have that range from some 20s that are, you would have seen them before on some of the other e-performance cars, which are quite nice. And you do go up to these 21s. Then you can get the Wagon, as I said, which is absolutely gorgeous. And you see the other 21s in here in silver. We'll take a good look around this in a second. And finally, there is an Edition 1, which is actually quite stunning looking both outside and in. And I've got prices for all of these for the UK now as well. Our standard premium car in the UK starts at 93k. Our Premium Plus car is at 96, and the Edition 1 is around about 115. And then on top of that, if you want to get the proper E53, you have to get the AMG Performance package. And that gives you a ton of options that are so important, like the Dynamic Plus package. You get the bucket seats, you get the carbon steering wheel. It's really going to be the one to get if you want the highest end one. And that is your price. I do wonder, what is BMW's M5 going to be priced at? Because if this ends up being too close to that, then it's really going to hurt the sales of this car, right? But who knows, the M5 could be like 140 grand, right? It's all up in the air at the moment. We shall see. Now the design, proper AMG. Just like we found in the CLE53, they've gone all out. They've given it the type of body that they would design for like a 63. So you've got the widened front end with the bigger arches. Forget the figures, like I said, this is more about what does it look like to you when you're looking at it? And this looks nice and wide. You still got the nice bonnet bulges as well. You got the Affalterbach crest there. Grille, surprisingly, looks good even in AMG form. This is the darkened one, and I'll show you what the chrome one looks like in a minute. And I really like the lower air intakes. I think they're very nice and aggressive. Got a bit of body color, a lot of gloss black, and again the trims there, they'll change. I'll show you that on the Wagon, but overall that front end, and particularly then the 3/4 on the side, that is a really good muscular looking AMG. Got the massive 21-inch wheels that look brilliant in the multi-spokes. They have this lovely disc feature with the AMG writing within our center lock, which is nice. Turbo badge in the black chrome. All of this is lovely. Side is lovely. The side sills look massive. They look big on the Wagon spec as well, so wait for that. Magno White really helps this car look like proper, because you can really appreciate like the curvature. You've got a nice big AMG carbon spoiler here, again, black chrome for our light strip, which blends it quite nicely actually. The badges, again, they're in black chrome, and as with all the E-Performance models, when you have the model name, it comes with the red detail around it, which is it's a nice little feature, along with the hybrid badge on the side. Now, boots. It's not as bad as you might think for a hybrid where the battery's actually sitting here. I've got some props. Let's try and load it up with some simple cabin bags. 2 large cabin bags, 2 normal size backpacks. It's okay, it's not bad. It's not on the level of the previous car, obviously, because we've got the massive battery in there, but that's not a bad effort at all. And then you have the quad pipes, typical 53 with the round style and a nice aggressive diffuser. So all in all, that is a proper E-AMG. They haven't skimped out, they haven't made it just an AMG line with a grille on the front. Instead, it's the full-on body. Now, let me show you the Wagon, which I actually think is perhaps an even better spec than this one. So guys, E53 Wagon, a number of things to show on here, but mainly I wanted to show it to you because I absolutely love wagons. I've wasted so much of my own personal money on performance wagons. But how can we not look at this? And it's nice that this is totally different in spec to the car that we're driving today. So this is graphite grey metallic with all the chrome bits as opposed to all the usual dechroming and the night packages and all of that, including some lovely silver wheels, which is nice to see because we don't see enough of silver wheels, right? So technically speaking, Wagon is exactly the same as the saloon, ever so slightly slower, but nobody really cares about that. So you're getting the exact same power, all the same benefits, but even more practicality. And in my estimation, probably a better looking car as well. I just love wagons. It's a shame that we haven't got a widened rear arch, but they've never ever done that on any E-Class. But it still doesn't look bad. I mean, if we come and look at the rear quarter, that's a nice chunky looking rear end, isn't it? Particularly with these lights. I wasn't sure about these lights when they first came out, but now, particularly seeing on the AMG version, it kind of widens the rear, which is nice. You've got your round exhaust tips, typical of the 53s here, and these remind me of the old 63s, which is a bit ironic, but if anything, in the chrome, they look even better than what they do. They kind of get lost in the black diffuser of the saloon. See, they kind of get lost inside that gloss black. Whereas here, very obvious with the chrome package, same with our writing on the back as well, which looks quite nice. So that is damn good looking. I love that rear 3/4. I love the direct rear as well. And of course, so much more space. We say that, but there is a hulking huge battery in there, as you can tell by this being here, and as we showed you in the VFX, so that's hidden here. Still a decent amount of space. I mean, it's pretty good. Everything's split folding here, which is great, so you can get even more luggage space. One great difference to see when they're both together is here you've got the standard car with the chrome details, and you can see the grille. It looks a bit more like the standard E-Class, but you can see that clearly. Then you've got the Night Package 2 one, where everything's kind of darkened out, so you can directly see the difference. It's the same with these lower trims here. So you can actually make it look quite different depending on what you choose. And it even affects the AMG badges on the bonnet, so make sure you are speccing wisely. I love these wheels, they're beautiful. This is the new discs that they're using, the center locking ones with the AMG logo. And I think the whole wheel just looks bigger than even the black one in that silver finish. And then this again in the chrome, that much more obvious, looks really nice. And then the side sill looks way bigger than the black one on the saloon as well. So that whole side profile, proper performance wagon, right? Love it. And it's got the best interior, this one. Come and have a look at this. Beautiful, beautiful brown interior, and UK customers will be pleased to know that you can actually spec this one in the UK along with black and a light grey. So we are loving life right now. Right guys, let's head inside and show you the interior design. Again, well massaged by AMG in this one as well. This particular interior, not as exciting as our brown one, I think. It's a bit more sporty because you do get the lovely red details and the microfiber Dynamica in the track seats. And you can see the AMG logo, nice, finished in gloss black in there. But in my opinion, not quite as exciting. Let's hop in. And you get your usual AMG welcome screen, as always in these cars. And another one when you go into ignition mode 2 on these. So the AMG interior comes in two forms in this car. One is with the super screen, which in the UK is optional as well. I personally wouldn't go for this. There was a second one that we saw when we did the first look inside the estate, where the screen finishes here and you've got the wood panel on the side with AMG lit up within the wood, and that was glorious. It just looked so much better. I think it will age better than having this useless side screen that I've never ever used. But if you want super screen, it's there, it's good. It's it's a lot better than the hyper screen, which would then meld this portion. Instead in the E-Class, you've got the separate driver zone, which is great. Now in terms of AMG elements in this interior, this is the only bit of carbon fiber that I can find, which is a shame because you've got such a large dashboard, you've got, big door cards. Your bang for buck on spec-ing carbon just isn't really there, is it? Which is a bit of a shame. But you have got the really nice steering wheel. These buttons, I've learnt to live with them now. They're not as bad as I first thought, but I would still prefer physical buttons. Of course, you've got AMG's brilliant dynamic select buttons here, where you can configure these to whatever you want. That's the exhaust sound button, and then we'll get onto driving modes in a second. But yeah, steering wheel unique. We've spoken about the bucket seats, which are fantastic. Of course, plenty of designs to choose from on our front display here. You guys have seen this all before. If you haven't, check out our previous reviews of pretty much any Mercedes and you'll be inundated with data on this. And there is a massive heads-up display in there. It is literally huge. You won't be able to tell on the camera, but it's huge and it's really useful when driving. The other AMG bits inside our system here are AMG Performance, which in a hybrid actually really useful because you end up with a lot of information as to what's being used where in terms of the battery, the e-motor, the combustion engine, your suspension. There's so much here to look at, so much data on offer for the driver, which is important for hybrid cars. A lot of these manufacturers don't bother giving you anything. AMG and Mercedes have luckily not gone down that path. Track pace again, so you got the drag race element if you want to use that, and then you can save it to your driving profile. And then of course, dynamic select. Look at all those driving modes, so many. Electric, we'll get back to that in a second. Battery hold obviously maintains the state of charge where it is. You've got slippery mode, comfort, sport and sport plus. So no race in this. You can change the order of these so it changes on here. So remember, that is possible. But now let's talk about one very weird mode, which is electric. Okay, watch this. It does the startup sound from the EQ cars, which is great. So the car always starts in that electric mode, and then you can switch it into the combustion mode and the engine then turns on. So guys, that's the interior. We're gonna put it back into electric mode. Let's head out and see what this car drives like. Let's do a launch control, let's see the sound. It's gonna be good. 79 kilometers was when I started earlier, and the range of the EV has gone up to 80 km, which is good because it means it was charging while we were driving faster initially. Let's see how it does. So I've put the EV mode on with the sound on. And yeah, it's got some, see, this is really important to me. When you have a hybrid car and it's got an electric mode, it needs to have an electric sound if your other electric cars have it as well. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there and it needs to be there. You can see our combustion engine just kicked in when we needed the power. But it's great that we have this. And then of course you've got it's showing at the moment 80 kilometers of electrical range, and it's not quite 100%. So that 100 km estimate is on point again, which is great because that is a really decent usable daily amount, like we found in cars like the new Panamera e-hybrid, the new Cayenne e-hybrid that we reviewed recently. This is useful for daily activities, right? It's a powerful AMG, but it can be used for school runs, grocery, all the local stuff. And of course, it's those activities, particularly urban local activities, where you waste the most fuel in a big, powerful AMG. But when you're done with all of that and you've saved your fuel and you've charged cheaply at home, pop the car into Sport Plus, the combustion engine comes alive, drop a couple of gears, got a load of pops and bangs coming out this 6-cylinder. Nice. Immediately reminds me of my E53 Wagon in the best of ways. Now, it's really important to me that we find out what the speed of this vehicle is, because that's an important thing for an AMG. It's got to have a good launch control. Let's go into our drag race here and see how it does in Sport Plus. Oh! Great grip, nice sound. Let's see what we got in track pace. 3.8 seconds, exactly as they said it would be. So that is quick, and it felt very, very fast. Again, they're not on the level of the E63, but then you're not expecting it to be, are you? Because this is a level below, but it felt very quick and the grip was fantastic. And just generally the speed, it's a nice mix. Like I said, not as fast as E63, but enough that I think that you will be enjoying the speed a lot daily. And I think that's what this car needs. You're not looking for something completely overpowered. You're looking for something in that middle area where recognizable AMG, but not to the level where you're like, actually, this is too much, and I'm not delving into the depths of this vehicle. All right, to really give it a go dynamically, we got some better roads in Austria, and let's drive faster, because what we're worried about here is the weight. 2.4 tons is quite a lot. Got some nice twisty roads here. Let's see how this does. Steering feel is nice, and we can really open up the E53 a little bit, and this is mighty impressive, honestly. And this is kind of the strange world we live in now, because you can't just look at the weight figure of a car and assume, right, this is just not going to handle well, because the suspension systems are so clever, and the torque management, the all-wheel drive, the ESP, all of these things come together in a way that you're like, damn, that should not be possible with that weight figure. Yet, here we are in a 2.5 ton E53, and it's like, what is going on here? Incredible. Mighty impressive. Like, I just couldn't predict it. I would have thought, nah, it's going to be average, but super impressive. So yeah, I think we all need to check ourselves when we look at these newer cars, and we're like, will it be able to do it? Because there's some magic that these Dynamics guys can do, honestly, and hats off to them. Could it be sharper? Could it feel lighter? Of course it could. Maybe they'll do another car. Maybe they won't. But as it stands, for an entry-level E-Class, I'm blown away. I think I prefer it to CLE. I prefer the fact you've got the hybrid assist. It's more powerful. The engine just sounds a bit more, or maybe it suits this character of car. Like, I drive the CLE and I'm like, I want the V8 in this. Whereas in this car, it sounds, I keep saying it sounds enough like my E63 that I'm like, nah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, actually. I really like it. Come on, this is fun. And what I found actually really quite shocking is when I bring the car back into comfort and then I take turnings like this, suddenly I'm very aware of the weight, the suspension. It is a huge difference. I mean, as a passenger, feeling the body roll as well. And this is the 2-valve damper thing, right? Where it can go completely like a luxury car, but then you dial it back into Sport Plus, and suddenly it's so reminiscent of, look at that turn in. It's so reminiscent of the 63 AMGs. You know, it reminds me of those heavier cars that I've driven recently, like the Panamera E-Hybrid, you know, quite similar to that, the Cayenne, etc. So, I mean, those cars have similar suspension systems as well in their standard setup. The responsiveness of the drivetrain is on point. Like, you tap it even a little bit, you get immediate power. And what's nice is, on our screen on the side here, you're being told where that power is coming from, whether it's the e-motor, whether it's the combustion engine. You have the info there, which is really useful. But it feels powerful. This is a quick car. And again, the sound profile of the 6-cylinder in this, because the last versions of the E53, which my edition one were so muted compared to the past, this really reminds me a lot of that car in its sound profile. This is nice because, you know, this is an entry-level AMG, and for it to have some nice pops and bangs, but it's not just that. You drive just normal speeds in Sport Plus, you get that typical AMG low-frequency rumble and grumble. You know, that is, can you hear that? It's so important to the AMG customer, that, and it exists in this. Now let's have a try with the gearbox. Upshift's pretty good. Downshift's a little bit delayed. This is in Sport Plus. This is typical of a torque converter gearbox, and this is what I was kind of fearful of, that. It's okay, but it's not that lightning quick gear change that we get in the MCT like you'd find in the AMG GT, for example. It's a more relaxed gearbox for, I don't put it against the car, because like, this is not a full fat AMG and it is a daily car, but you know, it doesn't discourage you from using it, but it's not like exactly like the upper end AMGs that this car actually looks like from the outside, right? So guys, currently in comfort mode on the Autobahn. What's nice about the electric mode is you can go all the way up to 140 kms, and you can do that purely on the electric mode, and of course the car will drive itself and do all the lane change stuff as well. But that's impressive just for the electric mode. So far we're using the route-based navigation here, and the car is, apart from turning itself, which is quite cool, it's using the data from the navigation and the way the roads are, etc., in order to decide when to use the e-motor, when to use the engine, etc. So yeah, it's a very clever system on a longer drive. Now if you put the car back into comfort mode, it's kind of hard to judge on these perfect German roads what the suspension is going to be like. I mean, what little, you know, undulations I found, the car handled it, and it seems absolutely fine. It seems really comfortable, even on the 21-inch wheels. The suspension, unsurprisingly, like we've seen in every single modern car with this type of 2-valve damper, you know, it's got great breadth of ability on both sides. I must admit, one guilty pleasure with this car, I'll be in Sport Plus and I'll just flick it over into the electric mode, and it's silence. It's silence, and you can go through a town, or you can do your little chores, save your fuel. You got your EV sound, and now I'm a goody two-shoe. No one can say anything to me. Don't stare at me. I'm in electric mode. It's fine. That guy was miserable. See, this is the face of a man who's having his cake and he's eating it. Nice and pure and lovely, and environmental saving EV side of me is activated. It's on. All is well in the world. And as soon as you want it, Sport Plus on, and we're back to that lovely 6-cylinder. It's fun. They're like, there's a special feeling there. I struggle with the price of these new cars, right? I am someone who's very much target market of this particular vehicle, and I'm just thinking, is the new car price too high? Interest rates are crazy at the moment. Like, how do I justify getting into one of these? Because otherwise, I think, as a daily car, as an entry level, with the EV mode, and then with, you know, a really nice amount of power, good grip, and a surprising amount of dynamics for, you know, such a heavy car, it would be perfect as a daily. Now, of course, as this video ages, that's something that may improve in the market, and, you know, deals will come up and all the rest of it, and I think genuinely this is a car that will make a lot of people happy. It just ticks so many boxes. A great combustion engine, a really good hybrid system, good range. That is, you know, it's not going to be out of date anytime soon. which I think is often the worry with hybrids and EVs, that will they become irrelevant? But with the type of range that this is giving and the power that it has, I don't think that's going to happen with this car. So yeah, I really like it. Another really good new AMG. I really hope that a V8 comes. I think this platform, everything is geared up to like shove a V8 in there with more power, you know, a more interesting suspension system maybe. Until then, this as an entry level eAMG is absolutely brilliant. I think anyone who owns it is absolutely going to love it. So guys, that is your massively powerful E53, 612 brake, hugely surprising dynamics, incredible breadth of ability and EV mode and comfort and speed. It's got it all. Now we just need to find somewhere or another to afford it. So if you enjoyed this episode of RBR, please do like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys next time.